Hello everyone! Welcome back to the Joyful Leader in Your channel. Today, I'm very honored to get a special guest to our channel, Mr. Armando. Let's give a round of applause. I can hear lots of noise outside there. So let me give a little bit introduction about the guest today. So basically, I'm holding this book. He recently wrote a book and it's called Kill the Second Man. It's a very special title, so we're going to explore a little bit more through this interview. So as it's written here, Mr. Armando, we call him Pastor Armando. We also call him a teacher Armando. He has lots of different names. So he's a passionate and dynamic Bible teacher and a graduate of the well-known International Bible Training College in West Sussex or UK, and serving in ministries as a pastor for 20 years. With his wife Isabella by his side, obviously he's a very happy man, married with a beautiful wife, and has planted and pastored churches in both Australia and Italy. And we're so honored to have him here today to have this interview. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, awesome. So would you mind tell us more about you to the audience? Because I just had a rough introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, it's great to be here, as I said, and I was really looking forward to be here today and just speak about life, because at the end we will speak about life, we will encourage you, we will inspire you, and I really hope that this interview will actually give you the tools that you need to actually succeed in life. Well, a bit about myself. Well, I am Italian. I was born in Italy and have traveled through many countries. I lived in Germany, I lived in Italy, I lived in Belgium, I worked in Holland, I traveled throughout Europe. I was a very successful operations manager with a very big company called Mercedes-Benz. I think we can say that. I have been the after-sales director for many years. But at the same time, I have always been a Christian since the age of 8. And yes, I wasn't born into a Christian family, but at the age of 8, my mom became a Christian and I started to, that journey of life. And throughout my entire life, there have been many changes. I have learned many lessons that we definitely will speak about it as well. And I got into leadership when I was very young and made lots of mistakes, but I learned a lot from it. I believe that it gave me the opportunity to grow and to become what I have become today.
It's very powerful. Thank you so much and welcome to this channel. So guys, I'm very excited. I have prepared lots of amazing questions. So if you also want to ask questions, go to our channel and just write down your questions. And we will also share the link of how you can reach out to our pastor and teacher, Armando, as well. So the first question I have for you here, first of all, congratulations on writing this book. And I have already heard amazing feedback and stories from the readers. And I have heard that this actually is your first book.
It is my first
book.
It
doesn't look like the first because, the way how you wrote it. I haven't finished reading it, but already in love with it. So tell us about, a bit about this book and what inspired you to write it.
Thank you. Well, it's called Kill the Second Man, and it's in reality my autobiography. But I didn't want to just simply write an autobiography which was boring. I read many books in my life. In leadership, I read books about personal development. I read many books. But I wanted to write a book which was different. And right from the get-go, I wanted the title to be wow. And this is why it's called Kill the Second Man. So the Kill the Second Man speaks about my life, speaks about my story, about the mistakes I made, about the lessons I learned, about the work that God has actually done in my life. And I believe the same work God can do in your life. So my encouragement throughout this whole book is let God reveal to us, the plan that God has for our life. So what inspired me? As a young kid, I have always been a sort of a dreamer. And I used to dream. And right from the age of 15, 14, in my teenage years, I said, one day I want to write a book. But I have never really known about what I should write. And so when I hit my 20s, that desire was always there. Now, I don't want to go too much into it because we'll have definitely more questions later, but my dream was to become a professional soccer player. And I had gotten to the point where I was ready to sign my professional contract. Wow. And then something happened, which I'm not going to say too much, otherwise I'm going to spoil what I've wrote in the book, but it changed the trajectory of my life. And right there in that moment, I had to make a decision. So in my 20s, the desire of rewriting that book, of writing the book, became stronger and stronger. I just didn't know, where do I start? And so when we then finally came to Australia many, many years later, God sort of woke up that dream again, where he said, okay, Armando, I want you to write that book. And I was struggling initially because I thought, okay, God, man, it's been 10, 20 years in the making.
Yes.
What am I going to do? And you know what? God just said, write about your story. And it is exactly there when I learned that God needs your story so that he can tell his story.
Beautiful, and it's very inspiring. Thank you so much. And for people who are outside there that you want to write a book or you have a dream that you want to achieve, it's never too late.
Yes.
Armando is showing you guys a great example that nothing is impossible. And it's amazing. Stories are powerful. So thank you. The next question I have for you is, as a new author, what challenges did you face during the writing process and how did you overcome them? Because I believe many people wanted to become an author, but when they think about the whole process, when they think about, oh my gosh, it can be really overwhelming.
Yes.
So how did you overcome them?
Yes, that's actually a great question. So how do you overcome them? You know, for me, it was my first book. I had never written a book before. And not only did I never write a book before, but English has never been my first language. As you know, I speak many other languages, but not...
Such as? Share with the audience. We would love
Well, I started off with Italian, then I learned Albanian, then I learned German, then I learned French, Spanish, English, and Dutch. And so the challenges were there. There were real challenges. You know, how do I start? Where do I start? And that thing resonated in my heart where God told me, write your story. Because our story is powerful. Your story is powerful. And I really want to encourage you, because one thing that I have learned is that the storytellers are the most powerful people. Because when you can tell your story, people will be able to relate. But you need to obviously put your heart, you need to put your passion. But you will also have moments where you'll struggle, because you'll come to the point where you don't have any words, where you have finished your ink, sort of speak, you know, and where you go, all right, what do I write next? What do I do? That's when you need friends. That's when you need people that they cheer you on, they encourage you. You know, you are not alone in writing a book. You know, sometimes we have the idea that we have to isolate ourselves. Don't isolate yourself, because if you do, you will be on your own. But if you let people speak into your life, ask your friends, hey, help me, pray for me, push me. And I had all these people doing that for me because, you know, it took 12 years to write this book.
12 years in one book. You only need to spend like tiny bit money. You can read the whole thing and learn what he has been learning in the last 12 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And look, this book, I wrote it literally on my deathbed. So I wrote this book, it was 12 years in the making, but I wrote it in 10 days. And I'll tell you more as we go with the questions, but it's been a journey.
Wow, guys, that was really powerful for the story, especially when talking about you wrote it in 10 days, but it's on the deathbed. That's really attracting me. So if you haven't read this book, find it, search on Amazon, anywhere, you're gonna love it, okay? My next question is your book, because this is the Joyful Leader in your channel, so I believe it's also related to joy and the leadership as well. So can you tell us a little bit about the connection with this book and also the leadership and the joy as well? I would love to hear from you. Thank you.
100%. That's another great question. You see, what I write in the book will encourage the readers, will encourage you out there to actually be the leader of your life. You see, we are leaders of our life, and we are the ones who carry on with our life. Now, in my life, as you will see in my story, and when you buy this book on Amazon or wherever you're going to buy it from, you will understand that we all go through a journey in life. You know, we are not just leaders at work or wherever we find ourselves, but we are mainly leaders of our life. And I go through many emotions through this book. You know, there are people that tell me, Armando, how did you manage to get being joyful, being sad, being at the edge of despair, and then resurrecting? And, you know, all I can say is that when you have joy in your life as a person, and when you have joy that actually helps you to conduct your life, this is where the connection comes from. You know, you will see that I go through many situations in the book that I lived, that I have been part of. And when you lead your life, you need to lead your life with joy. Why? Because joy is not just a feeling. Joy is like an engine that pushes you from the within to carry on. And this is where we need to just, you know, if we just base joy on a feeling, well, then it will just remain a feeling. It will go up, it will go down, it will go up, it will go down. But when it is an engine from within, it will help you to stabilize your life, to constantly be on the advance side other than, oh my God, what I do now, oh, what I'm gonna do now. And that's when then worry starts to creep in. And so the connection in this book is I have gone through many changes in my life. I have gone through many situations. I've changed countries many times. I lived in many places, and every time I had to adapt. Every time I went through laughter, joy, despair, sadness, but I had to always bounce back. And the way how I did it, it's by trying to conduct my life with joy.
Guys, did I tell you I invite the right people to this channel? He is talking absolutely the best explanation about the joy and the leadership part as well. Himself as a leader in life, and the way how he sees things and his experiences in all the different countries. And yes, it's telling us how important the joy is. So thank you so much for answering the question. Next question I have for you is, were there any specific personal experiences or stories that influence the content of your book? I know you mentioned about one thing that is on the deathbed. Do you have a little bit more, not telling us everything about the book, but yeah, any other stories you want to give a little bit?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
I can elaborate a bit on that. You see, as I said, this book was 12 years in the making. I had initially written 2 chapters, and then I was stuck. And I was stuck for 10 years. But God kept on telling me, hey, you need to write this book. Armando, you need to write this book. And I kept on pushing it. You know, sometimes we can be always very busy. And 100% we are busy in life. We are busy with our families. We are busy with work, busy with all sorts. But we need to find the time to actually let our story be told. But if we don't invest time in what our story is, we will never be able to share it. Now, not everyone will write a book. But I want to encourage you out there to just share your story with your neighbors, with the people you meet in the shopping centers. Maybe sometimes even with random people. You never know what your story will do. So in my, little world, should I say, I came to a point in a certain situation where I had just moved country. I had gone to Italy full of hope, full of passion, full of joy, and I had been in leadership for many years. So I sort of knew what I was doing, if I can say so. But then the unexpected happened that caught us completely off guard. I got very sick and the doctors declared me nearly dead. I was in hospital for 35 days. And during those 35 days, 12 of them, the doctors would ring up my wife every day and would say, hey, we are not sure that he's gonna make it today. For 12 days. And this will be my second book. So there is already some pre-info, especially for you on this channel, that no one else knows, where I will be writing this book when I met Jesus in my room. So after Jesus healed me in the hospital, and you will find all this story in my next book. But going back to Kill the Second Man, what happened was, after I got healed on my hospital bed, Jesus would wake me up every day for 10 days straight. He would wake me up at night from 1 a.m. till 6 a.m. in the morning. And I would write non-stop from 1 to 6 for 6 days. And it was there that I wrote another 11 chapters. And this is when I finished the book.
So powerful, guys. Amazed. And, it's definitely going to be an adventure for you to explore. And it's something that is, especially for those who are trying to, young Christian, or for those who are not a Christian yet, you should listen to the true stories. We're not asking, you have to do what, but the true story are powerful, right?
Yes, 100%.
So thank you so much. The next question is more for the authors outside there, because in our channel, we have quite a few authors first guest
That's
so
right.
far. And for the young authors who haven't started writing a book or they are struggling to write a book, I know you already shared a few tips about when you face the challenges, how do you deal with it. But
Yeah.
is there any other advice you want to give to those young authors or authors who probably hasn't had the dramatic story as you did, but they are still thinking to write a book? So what
Yeah.
is your advice?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, the first advice I would really give you is stick to your story. You know what I mean with it? It's sometimes when we go on our research, we want to research the internet. We want to know what people like. We tend to trying to understand how to write the book, what to write. But it is all good research. But my advice is stick to your story. Because you can write the best book, but if that book is not authentic, people will just read the first 10 pages and then put it aside. Where if you stick to your story, then authenticity will come through and that will give your validation that the book needs to be able to be read. On Amazon, people, we got not even 2 months out and we got our 5-star book label review. So 5 stars, all our reviews are 5 stars. And many comments and many ask me the question, how did you manage? And to you that are maybe thinking of writing a book, don't worry about the review. You just need to be authentic. That's the first point. The second one, stick to your story. Make sure that you are telling your story and not the story of somebody else, And thirdly, yes, do your research, but don't let that influence or even change your story. It's great to have feedback. It's great to listen to other people. Take it all in, but ultimately stick to your story. And this is exactly what I have done. What can I talk best? It's the things that I have lived through. It's the lessons that I have learned. Now, unless you're writing a fictional book where it's all fantasy and that's different. But yeah, so this is literally my 3-dot advice, if you like.
That is so good because, as you know, I'm also a new author. I had my first book very similar time, and I'm also writing my next book. And the advice you just gave me was like, wow, that was really helpful.
Yes.
Because you know what, with my first book as well, I was more authentic. Like I was like, it's just my story. I just write everything about me and about helping others through my story. Now the second book was like, I need to search for a little bit more information. So it's like you're talking to me.
Yeah.
So for whoever outside there, if you are like me, stop it, be authentic.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the advice. So the next question I have for you, because we're in this Joyful Leader channel, we wanted to understand, because you also mentioned you worked in like lots of different places and you're directors, you're a lot of different hats, and you have experiences on the corporate world. So give us a little bit advice about leadership roles. So for those leaders who are, whether they're new or they wanted to become a leader, so what are your, or to say, tips or tricks, whatever you think that you can give them that they can take away and, they can help with what they're doing? Thank you.
100%. So, as I was saying before, I have been in management, in middle management, in senior management, and in executive management. So I literally started off my career when I was in my 20s. So I started off as a customer service representative. And back then I was 24. And, leadership is, in my opinion, something that you cannot necessarily learn. So leadership is an ability that you have inside. But what you can do, you can make that skill grow. You can sharpen that tool which is in you. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I was working for this company, they saw straight away that this guy, he has something in him. You see, when you have leadership on your life, people will see it. They might not know what it is, they might not understand fully what it is, but it is visible to others. And it is something that I have actually learned in my career, is that there are people that they want to be managers or want to be leaders, and then there are those that are leaders and are managers. And the thing I learned is that it is visible. So people will pick up on it. They will know the difference between someone which has the gift or which has the ability and someone that doesn't. So what have I learned? I have learned that leadership itself is not just a task. You are a leader because this is who you are. You are not a leader because you have read books, because now you have a master or you have a PhD in leadership, that you are now a leader. This is just to sharpen your tool. So if you are out there and you want to be a leader, just ask yourself, do I have that ability? And I would think that if you are on this channel, you definitely know that you are one. And leader means simple, leading people. How can I lead people? I can lead people with who I am. Because people don't follow just strategies. People don't follow a vision. People follow people. So my advice, be a leader that people like to follow. I wouldn't follow a leader I don't like. I wouldn't even follow a leader that, thinks is a leader, but in reality isn't. So, to me, leadership is who you are. It's not necessarily what you have learned from books.
That's so good. And this is first time I heard about answer about a leader is who you are. It's so true because like you said, it cannot just be a strategy or a something. And sometimes you can say great things about how amazing you are, whatever that is, but your behavior. So that's why we're saying leading by example. So I would say that you definitely are leading by example, not just because you are good at saying it, but also because you're actually leading as in the real life as well. So well done. Thank you.